All right, today we are diving into one of the most powerful and, honestly, unsettling novels of the 20th century, José Saramago's Blindness. We're going to explore this unforgettable story that asks a really terrifyingly simple question. What happens to us when society can no longer see?
So picture this. Everything starts out completely normal. You've got a man sitting in his car at a traffic light, just waiting. It's a moment any of us has lived 1,000 times. But for him, this is the very last normal moment he's ever going to have. And then, bam! Just like that, with absolutely no warning, his entire world vanishes. The light turns green, but he can't go. He can't see. And he's the first one. He's patient zero of an epidemic that nobody, and I mean nobody, is ready for. Now, this is what's so wild about the blindness itself. Saramago doesn't describe it as darkness, like you'd expect. No, it's a brilliant, terrifying white blindness. He says it's like being submerged in a sea of milk. And the crucial part, there's no medical cause. Doctors are completely baffled. This isn't a disease you can see in the eyes. It's something way, way more mysterious. So this mysterious white blindness, it just starts to spread like wildfire. It jumps from that first man to the kind stranger who helped him, then to his eye doctor, and then to everyone else in the doctor's waiting room. It's this invisible contagion, but it seems to be driven less by a virus and more by pure, uncut fear. So how does society handle this crisis? With compassion? With a search for a cure? Nope. With panic. The government's immediate reaction is to just round up anyone who's blind, or even anyone who's been near someone blind, and quarantine them. They're not trying to help, they're trying to hide the problem. They shove them into this derelict mental asylum and post a guard with a simple order. If anyone tries to leave, shoot them. It's this chilling, brutally efficient act of abandonment. Okay, so let's go inside this locked-down asylum where this brand new, terrifying society is starting to form. Think of it like a microcosm, right? A tiny, concentrated version of the world where all the rules that hold us together are about to be put to the ultimate test. And the collapse? It happens terrifyingly fast. I mean, basic sanitation is gone in a matter of days. Human dignity completely erodes as soldiers just chuck boxes of food into the building for people to fight over. And into that power vacuum steps a gang of men, also blind, who seize control of the food. Their new rule is simple: the rule of brutality. And this right here perfectly illustrates Saramago's central point. It's not the physical blindness that's tearing these people apart. No, it's the selfishness, the greed, the cruelty that was already there, just waiting under the surface for that thin veneer of civilization to crack. But in the middle of all this chaos, there is one person who holds a terrible, world-changing secret. She is the moral compass of this whole story, and her journey is maybe the most harrowing of all. Meet the doctor's wife. In this incredible act of love and loyalty, she lies. She pretends she's gone blind too, just so she won't be separated from her husband. But this one decision makes her the sole witness to all the horror that's about to unfold. The only pair of seeing eyes in a world of blinding white. You see, for her, sight isn't a superpower. It's an unbearable burden. While everyone else experiences the chaos and the hunger, she is forced to witness it all with perfect, awful clarity. She sees every single act of degradation, every moment of cruelty. Her torment isn't being blind, it's being forced to see the absolute truth of what people become. And ultimately, because she's the only one who could see, she's the only one who can truly act. When the gang's cruelty becomes just too much to bear, she takes matters into her own hands. She kills their leader. And in this world, it's not murder in any legal sense. It's a desperate, necessary act of justice in a place where law and order have completely ceased to exist. Eventually, a fire breaks out and destroys the asylum, and the doctor's wife leads her small group of survivors outside. They escape, and for a second you think, okay, maybe they're safe. They're hoping to find a world that can help them. But what they find is so much worse than the quarantine they just left. The epidemic was never contained. The entire city, and you have to assume the entire world, has gone blind. All the systems that we just take for granted, government, electricity, sanitation, food, they've all collapsed. Why? Because it turns out they all depended on one very simple thing: people being able to see. The asylum wasn't some horrible exception. It was just a preview of what was happening everywhere. And in one of the most haunting images in the entire book, the group stumbles into a church, and inside, they find that someone, we never find out who, has tied white cloths over the eyes of all the holy statues. I mean, that single image just says everything, doesn't it? Has God gone blind too? Or have people just finally admitted that in this new world, no one is watching over them? And this really brings us to the heart of the novel. Look, this story isn't really sci-fi. It's not just a disaster story. It's an allegory. It's a massive, flashing warning sign about a completely different kind of blindness.
Saramago is basically arguing that, in a way, we are already blind. The white blindness in the book isn't just some fictional disease. It's a metaphor that takes a condition we all suffer from and makes it brutally, physically literal.
So what does he mean by that? Well, he's talking about our willful ignorance, right? Our ability to just look away from suffering, to ignore injustice, to forget that our society is this fragile thing built on looking out for each other. We choose not to see the things that make us uncomfortable. That's the real blindness. So when you boil it all down, blindness is exploring these huge ideas. It's telling us that true blindness is moral, not medical. It shows us just how fragile our dignity is, how thin civilization is, and how compassion, well, that's the rarest and most difficult kind of courage there is. And then, just as suddenly and mysteriously as it all began, the blindness starts to lift. The very first man who went blind is the first one to see again. And slowly, one by one, sight comes back to the world.
So that's a miracle, right? A happy ending. Time to celebrate. But Saramago, he doesn't give us that easy out. He leaves us with a much, much more complicated question. The one person who saw everything, the doctor's wife, is the one who voices this deep, chilling fear. After watching humanity completely collapse into its worst self, she worries that just getting their sight back won't change anything. They've all been through hell, but did they actually learn anything from it? She's afraid they didn't. And this is the question Saramago leaves us with. The novel isn't just about some fictional plague. It's a mirror held up to us. It asks every single one of us, now that you've seen what people are capable of, the good and the terrible, what are you going to choose to look at, and what will you continue to ignore? If we get a second chance, will we finally, truly choose to see?